The Secret Sauce of Sales Success, Module 2, Sales Recruitment and Selection, brought to you by Constructum Consulting. In this presentation, I introduce you to the second of 3 modules in this program, namely Sales Recruitment and Selection. This 3-part program is aimed at building a high-performance sales team for your business. You know you have a great sales culture when you see evidence of the following. Focus. A sales team focused on the right target market, focused on delivering a solution to the customer's problem, and a team focused on achieving its sales targets. Activities. You see evidence of high volumes of quality sales activities. Pipeline. Your sales team consistently delivers a pipeline of new business. And results. You see evidence of individual team members and the sales team as a whole hitting their sales numbers. Module 1 is foundational and comprised of 5 parts. Map out the sales process, derive a sales funnel made up of sales activities, decide on the composition of your sales team, build a profile of the right salesperson for your business, and assess the financial viability of your sales scheme. Now in Module 2, we build on the conclusions reached previously, and more specifically on the profile of the ideal salesperson developed during Module 1. Module 2 consists of 3 parts, namely key recruitment and selection principles, mapping out your recruitment and selection process, and structuring sales remuneration. The recruitment and selection process is aimed at identifying, attracting, and onboarding suitable candidates. I recommend that you consider 3 aspects, namely personality, that is the individual's unique patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaving. Character, which reflects mental and moral values, and competence, that relates to specific skills and ability to perform tasks. Of these 3 aspects, competence is the least important. Skills can be acquired at relatively low cost, but little can be done about a candidate with a dubious character. No amount of training or performance management can straighten out a poor character. A candidate with a certain personality can be trained to become aware of their own personality type and learn to adjust their approach to meet the personality type of the prospective customer. The second principle I'd like to share is that with people, slower is faster. Over the years, I've tried various recruitment and selection processes with varying degrees of success. One thing that stood out was that prolonging the recruitment and selection process tended to yield better results. This is a big problem for busy entrepreneurs. Everybody wants to achieve outcomes as fast as possible, but with people, slower is always faster. Professional job seekers, the type you don't want in your business, are good at interviews. They're probably better at this than you. But the real person behind the facade can only hide for so long. By prolonging the recruitment process, you are in a much better position and much more able to discern committed candidates from job hoppers. The recruitment process is about getting to the heart of the person in front of you It takes time and requires effort, but it is much better to spend a little more time searching for the right person at the outset than spending a disproportionate amount of time trying to fix recruitment mistakes later. There is nothing more exhausting than dealing with problem people. I recommend a recruitment and selection process that comprise at a minimum of the following: screening, testing competencies, assessing personality, considering character traits, and onboarding. Screening is the initial process of qualifying potential applicants. I recommend that you set out a simple list of qualifying criteria. For example, minimum matric certificate, valid driver's license with own reliable vehicle, minimum 2 years related sales experience, clear criminal record, and clear credit history. An often overlooked but very effective way of screening out poor candidates is asking for and contacting references. This can be challenging since many corporate entities refuse to give employee references other than confirming past employment. I used to phone the corporate offices where the candidate previously worked and informally asked the receptionist if they remember the person. Receptionists, like hairdressers, know an awful lot if you care to ask. Likewise, you can ask people in the industry where the candidate used to work if they know the person. If the salesperson previously called on procurement managers in an industry, why not ask if they remember the candidate and what their impressions are? Obtaining references is a cost-effective way of screening candidates. The next part is to assess competencies. As part of Module 1, the business owner mapped out the sales process from the sales funnel with sales activities. With this understanding, the key competencies required to fulfill the sales role may be identified. In general, salespeople must be able to identify prospects. A simple method we applied to test this skill in the insurance industry was to present the candidate with a blank document we called a Plan 100. The candidate would be asked to prepare 100 names with contact details of prospective customers. At the second interview, we would review and discuss the candidate's Plan 100 to assess their ability to identify prospects. Numerical ability. You can devise a numeracy test to assess the candidate's numerical ability. Analyze problems. Present the candidate with a problem, preferably an industry-related problem, and ask the candidate to describe how they would go about solving the problem. Telephone skills. Ask the candidate to call, preferably on a speakerphone, a prospective customer during the interview. Present a solution. Ask the candidate to present a basic industry-related solution by way of a pre-prepared 5-minute presentation. Overcome objections. In a role-play scenario, present some of the most common customer objections and ask the candidate to respond as though you are the potential buyer. Industry-specific competencies. The business owner may also devise industry-specific tests to assess the ability of the candidate. I recommend that recruiters test for learning potential rather than absolute competence. Most sales skills are learnable. A half-competent person with the right personality and good character is a much better candidate than a very skilled problem person. In my estimation, personality types do matter, and especially in sales roles. However, you cannot start a conversation about this without first understanding your own personality type. Your personality type is a lens through which you see others. There are many personality type models available. I found the following matrix-based personality model easiest to understand and apply. According to this model, there are 4 main personality types. The analytical personality type, low on people, low on pace. This personality type tends to move slowly, carefully, and purposefully. This is a planner, a person who likes details, who revels in analyzing everything. This personality type relates easier to things than people. Other personality types often refer to the analytical personality as a pain in the you-know-what. Just because this personality type enjoys analyzing does not mean that they are good at it. This type of personality often succumbs to analysis paralysis. The assertive personality type, low on people, fast on pace. This type of personality moves fast. They talk and walk quickly. This is a bottom liner, a person who likes to work with bullet points. They keep conversations short and to the point. This personality type relates to things easier than people. Other personality types may find an assertive personality abrasive and confrontational. This type of personality can be a real driver, but can also be disruptive. Expressive personality type, high on people, high on pace. This personality type is friendly, outspoken, full of energy and enthusiasm. This type of personality likes to meet and greet, to socialize. This personality type relates easier to people than things. Other personality types may find this person overbearing or loud. Some may say that the expressive personality type is a typical salesperson. But other personality types may see the person as superficial or insincere, not someone to be taken seriously. The empathetic personality type, high on people, low on pace. This personality type is soft-spoken, prefers one-on-one interactions. This person is careful about feelings and fearful of upsetting others. This personality type relates easier to people than things. Although this personality type enjoy relating to people, it does not mean that they are good at it. And they're not necessarily good at managing business relationships. This personality type may be viewed as high maintenance by some. I honestly believe that any personality type can excel at a sales role. But in general, assertive and expressive personality types are more adaptable to a sales environment. A business owner with an expressive personality type may find it very difficult to work with an analytical personality type. In a similar way, an assertive personality type will find working with an empathetic personality type challenging. Every entrepreneur recruiting candidates for sales roles must decide if they are willing to adapt to different personality types and to what degree. I purposefully end with an evaluation of character traits. A prolonged recruitment process gives the recruiter more opportunities to observe the real character of the candidate. The whole recruitment process thus far has been a test of the candidate's character. The recruiter gains insight by observing the conduct of the candidate. Were they honest about their qualifications and experience when applying for the position? Did they make sure to arrive on time, properly attired and prepared? How did they treat the people they engaged with? How did they handle the pressure of competency-based tests? Past performance is the best predictor of success. As a recruiter for a large insurance company, I had to assess the outcome of psychometric tests designed to evaluate the suitability of candidates. I can honestly say, after assessing hundreds of candidates and observing their performance in the field, that psychometric tests have very limited value. Evaluating the past performance of candidates is of much greater value. Past performance does not have to relate directly to the current role, the role that you are recruiting for. A candidate with a good academic record is not only smart, but probably also conscientious. Students with good grades are by nature hard workers. An athlete who achieved success in a team sport is most likely a good team player. Salespeople who achieved sales success in the past are more likely to achieve sales success in the future. Lastly, we get to onboarding. You identified suitable candidates and are excited to bring them on board. However, the reality is that job seekers are probably applying for several job opportunities, and good candidates are likely to receive multiple offers. To successfully attract and retain good salespeople, you must sell the business, your products, and the opportunity to candidates. Bridge the gap. Onboarding of new candidates is the bridge between recruitment and selection and sales development, which is the topic of Model 3 of this 3-part series. Getting salespeople up and running as soon as possible requires a structured onboarding process. Ready, steady, go. At the very start of the candidate's employment, the sales targets must be set, and the expectation of the business owner must be made crystal clear. Investing time and effort in the recruitment process yield results. I strongly recommend emphasizing character traits over personality and competence when selecting candidates. Next, you need to consider sales remuneration. The structure of sales remuneration must attract and retain good quality salespeople, but also drive sales performance. Sales remuneration typically consists of a mix of basic salary and incentives. The nature of the sales funnel determines the mix. A remuneration structure consisting of a comparatively small basic salary and therefore skewed toward a larger incentive component is appropriate for a business with a shallow sales funnel and short sales duration. A good example is where an in-store salesman meets with a customer and concludes the sale transaction on the premises and within a few minutes. In contrast, a remuneration structure consisting of a comparatively larger basic salary with a smaller incentive component is appropriate for a business with a deeper sales funnel and a prolonged sales duration. An example is where a salesman engages in a consultative sale with potential customers over a few weeks to conclude a sale. That concludes Module 2 of this 3-part program brought to you by Constructum Consulting. Visit Constructum Online Learning on YouTube to view the remainder of this 3-part program.